Hi, this is James Ebo Whyte. I've devoted the whole of the month of May to celebrating mothers. And this year, the way I'm doing it is to remember my mother who left us 11 years ago. And this is a story that reminds me so much of her. When my father died, it took my mother about a year to find her feet. For a while, she was lost. She had given in to fear that she would not be able to make it, fear that she would not be able to look after the 5 boys my father had left her with. And it took her quite a while to find her feet. But once she did, she became a very different woman. She became more confident. She took her business to a whole new level than she ever did. For instance, when my father was alive, she seldom traveled on business. But with his passing, she began to come to Tema twice every week. And that led to the growing of her business. Now, because of her success, she was able to renovate the house we're living in at Sason Treso in Kumasi. She added as many as 5 rooms to the house and rented those out. Those 5 rooms were picked just like that. They were snapped up just like that. But about a year later, one of the tenants relocated to Accra with his entire family. And so that room became available. And one evening, my mother was hosting one of her closest friends. I was playing with some of my friends. We're kicking a ball around when a very a very successful looking man, well-groomed man walked in. Confidence be what? He exuded the confidence of a successful man. And of course, when he entered, we stopped playing. We were looking at him. And then he said to us, "Boys, where are your jerseys?" And we said, "Oh, we don't have jerseys." "Oh, you don't have jerseys? Oh, don't worry, I'll buy you a jersey. And then, I'll buy you boots as well. I'll get you more balls." And then he said, and I would make you build you into a costume, a winning costume, and take you round Ghana to showcase your talent. Now, in those days, only the adults played in jerseys and in boots. The rest of us, boys like me then, played barefooted and bare-chested, or whatever dress, whatever shirt we are wearing. And so the idea of jersey and boots, wow. We had always tried to form coast teams, especially during the long vacations. But these have never lasted for more than a few matches. And so to have somebody who says, "I will build you into a winsome coast team," whoa, that we were ecstatic. Now, by this time, the man knew that he had us in his pocket. So he turned his attention to my mother and her friend, greeted them. And my mother called to me and said, "Kobina, bring him a chair to sit on and get him some water to drink." Now, I can tell you this, I've never run an errand with more eagerness. After all, I was serving my newfound hero, the one who was going to give us jerseys and all that. Anyway, after the man has had a sip, my mother asked him for his amania. And he said, he said that there's a room available in the house and he was coming to take it. Oh, by the way, he doesn't live in Kumasi. He lives in a mansion. He described the kind of house he had. But his business brings him to Kumasi often, as it does to other parts of Ghana. And so he needed a room in Kumasi as his base, so he doesn't have to worry about going back to his real base. And then my mother confirmed, yes, there is indeed a room available. And then she told him the rent. And the man said, "Oh, that is too cheap." "What? That's too cheap. I mean, look at this house. Look at how neat it is." "Oh, no. It's too cheap. And it's not fair. It's not fair to you because it's too low. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I will double what you are asking for. I'll pay double the rent you are asking for. Because me, I don't like cheating. I hate cheating first class. By this time, I was convinced we have just been visited by an angel. But to my shock and horror, my mother looked at this man and said, "Oh, Cratchy, I just remembered. I have promised the room to someone else. I forgot, but I have promised the room to someone else. So the room is no longer available." And I was upset. What's my mom doing? Because I knew she hadn't promised the room to anyone. And she would have told me. At any rate, even if she had promised the room to someone else, whoever that person is, who I was sure does not exist, that person hasn't promised us jerseys and football and costume. So why should the room be reserved for him? Anyway, the man took his leave. But I noticed that as soon as he left, my mother's friend, whenever she visited, stayed much longer, quickly took her leave. I went to my mom and said, "Mom, why did you turn the man down?" And my mother said, "Kobina, you are too young to understand." And then she dismissed me and gave the indication that this matter was closed. Well, I think about 6 months later, my mother's friend, who for some time had stopped coming to our house, turned up. She gave lame excuses as to why she had not been as regular as she used to be. And then she said to my mother, "Aunty Emma, is that how your man is?" And my mother said, "My man? Which man?" The woman said, "You remember that man who came here looking for a room and you refused to give him the room? You know I gave him a room." And my mother said, "You gave him a room, but you don't have a room." And yes, it is true that the woman did not have a room. What it is that she lived in a 2-bedroom house. She lived in one, and her 2 teenage sons lived in the second. But thinking that she had found the most wonderful tenant ever, she had offered the man the room her sons were occupying, forced her sons to come and share her room, and given the man that room. And for 6 months, the man had not paid a peso. Excuses, excuses, excuses. "Oh, I'm expecting some huge payment. It hasn't come. When it comes, I'm going to give you 2 years of the rent. Nothing would happen. Oh, the bank has made a mistake with my account, and I'm really giving them hell to put it right." Excuses. 6 months. He hadn't paid a peso. My mother laughed and said, "Oh, my sister, has life not taught you anything? How can you allow yourself to be taken in by such a con artist?" Anyway, after the woman had left, my mother called me and said, "Kobina, do you remember that you asked me 6 months ago why I turned the man down?" And then she said, "Do you understand now?" I could only nod. I was too confused and too shocked to speak. And that was my first direct encounter with a con artist, but it will not be my last. In my life, I have encountered many con artists, but if I haven't been taken in by them, it is because of the wisdom of my mother. She was a wise woman. And with that, once again, I celebrate all mothers. And this has been James Whyte, Uncle Whyte, wishing you the best of the day. God bless you.